Good morning, Your Worship. My name is Selena Moni, M-O-H-N-I, and I will be opening today. Marco Souza is an 18-year-old high school student whose father died 2 years ago. He used to do well at school, but his grades have been falling. A couple of months after his father died, Marco began hanging out with a new group of friends who have had a bad influence on him. Now he has a criminal record for dangerous driving because him and one of his friends, Jason, took Jason's car on a joyride one night. Marco was not taken into custody for this offense, and he did not have a bail hearing. At trial, he was found guilty, ordered to pay a fine, and placed on probation for 12 months. 8 months later, Marco, Jason, and two other young men were allegedly caught breaking into a neighbor's house late at night. Marco was charged with break and enter, assault, and failure to comply with his probation order from the first conviction. Marco was taken into custody by the police. At his bail hearing, the Justice of the Peace released him on a $500 surety, which his mother supplied, and gave him a 9 p.m. curfew. Marco is once again appearing before the Justice of the Peace at a bail hearing. Although he has not yet gone to trial for the break-and-enter incident, he was picked up by the police again because he and Jason allegedly stole a sign from inside a bar at 1 a.m. on a Saturday night. They were also allegedly in possession of a stolen vehicle that was parked outside the bar. The new charges Marco is facing are theft under $5,000, failure to comply with his probation order, failure to comply with his curfew, and possession of stolen goods under $5,000. I would now like to invite my co-counsel of the defense to introduce themselves. Crown.
Good morning. My name is Stefano Deline, and I will be directly examining the constable, Tenzin Sonam.
Good morning. My name is Vivian Lee, and I will be cross-examining the mother, Isabel Souza.
Good morning, Your Honor. My name is Jamie Bursey, and I will be closing.
Good morning, Your Worship. I'm Jeffrey Lee. Today I'll be cross-examining Mr. Osmond. Mr. Osmond.
Good morning. My name is Andre Bandolo, and I'll be cross-examining Marco Souza.
Good morning, Your Honor. My name is Alex Lee, and I'll be cross-examining the alcohol.
The defense ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor, we're ready. Your Honor, I, Alondra Montezuma, and my partner Jacob Shaw are here to represent Marco Souza today in this bail hearing. A bail hearing, Your Honor, a place in our nation where we do not establish the guilt or innocence of a person, but whether or not the accused person will appear in the court for their trial on that crime. For this fact alone, we ask you not to be persuaded by the eloquent verbiage of our illustrious Crown's prosecutor. All we need to consider is two things. First, will Marco Souza show up for his trial? And yes, he does. Second, does Marco has document evidence of him showing up for his trials? And the answer is yes, he does. He is not a flight risk, has no means of leaving the country, and support a group, family, and friends who will not vouch for his bond, but who are willing to help Marco throughout his behavior so he can once again become a productive citizen of Canada. There are another two factors to consider here. First, in Canada, there is a presumption of innocence until proven guilty, and if Marco goes to jail now, this presumption of innocence is a dire jeopardy. Second, the plain fact is that Canadian police has a notoriously famous for overcharging or booking on charge against the accused. My client, Marco Souza, is charged with theft of a motor vehicle, yet no one saw him do it, nor was he driving the van when the constable pulled him over. He is charged with theft, yet no one knows for sure who had stolen the sign. We will call 4 witnesses today, and we will call neighbor and former basketball coach Joseph Osmond. They will testify about the character of Marco Souza and the fact that this present behavior began at the time of Marco's father's death. They will also testify to the characters of Marco's family and their commitment to Marco and his ability to do what he said he would do. Our second witness will be Adriano, the uncle. He would testify how he would provide a strong male figure in the family and how his plan will work. Our third witness will be Isabel, the mother of Marco Souza. She will testify to Marco's ability to make his court dates and his sincerity in complying with the legal requirement. Finally, we will call Marco Souza himself. He will testify that he will show up for his court date and he plans to show charges against him are completely overblown and overcharged in this case. Your Honor, We are left with a rather easy decision here today. Should we grant bail or not to Marcos Souza? Will he appear for his court date today? Is he willing to clear his name in the court? Is he anxious to set the record straight in this matter? Yes, 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 and yes. There is only one thing to do, is the right thing. Set bail for Marcos Souza. Let the legal process begin. It is only then that we will know the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Thank you, Your Honor, and with these words, we conclude our opening conclusion statement.
Great, thank you. Crown, you ready to proceed with your first witness?
Yes, we are, Your Worship. Now, I would like to ask the Constable Sana to take the stand.
Take a seat. For the purpose of this exercise, can we assume that all witnesses have already been sworn in?
Constable Sana, before...
I just with the opposing team. Can I confirm with the defense?
Yes, you may.
Okay, thank you. So please proceed.
Constable, before we proceed, may you introduce yourself and please spell your name for the purpose of the court.
My name is Tending Sonam, Tendinsonan.
Constable, how long have you been a police officer?
For 12 years.
Mm-hmm. And on that particular evening, when you received the dispatch, how did you get involved within this case?
I was at patrol. I was patrol at the time in the area, and I began to scout the area for any suspicious vehicles.
Was there a call from a person that evening inquiring as to Mr. Souza's whereabouts?
No.
What was your reaction when you received the investigation order after the bar manager reported missing sign? Please tell us what was your reaction when you received the investigation order after a bar manager reported a missing sign?
I took it as another assigned task to another task assigned to me.
Thank you. Did you end up finding the van offered within the description?
Yes, I was able to find the
van. Once you stopped the vehicle, what did you do next?
Before I exited my own car, I checked the license plate of the vehicle, and upon approaching the vehicle, I saw a sign in the back.
Okay. How were you able to spot the bar sign?
When I shined my flashlight through the van, I was able to spot the sign.
And after you did spot it, how did you interact with the occupants of the vehicle?
I approached them and I asked them to identify themselves. And as they were unable to identify themselves, I asked them to verbally identify themselves. And I found out they were Marcos Souza and Jason King.
Mm-hmm. And where was Mr. King seated?
Mr. King was seated in the driver's seat.
And Mr. Souza, where was he seated?
Mr. Souza was seated in the passenger seat.
Mm-hmm. After conducting a background check upon the occupants, what did you find about them?
I found out that they were they had allegedly stolen. They in possession of stolen. I found out that they didn't comply with their probation.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And what did you do after you discovered that the van had been reported stolen?
I arrested them when I found out the van was stolen.
Constable Sonam, what was your reasoning for holding Mr. Souza behind for his bail hearing?
Can you repeat the question?
Certainly. Constable Sonam, please tell us what was your reasoning for holding Mr. Souza behind for his bail hearing?
I had reason to believe that he would not show up for his dates because of his previous because of his because he recommitted crimes and his previous
And Did you consider him liable to recommit?
Yes, I did.
Thank you very much, Your Worship and Constable.
Your Honor, may I proceed with cross-examination?
Yes, please go ahead.
Constable Sonam, your testimony today is mainly about the alleged charge pending against the defendant, Mr. Souza, correct?
Sorry, it's a little bit broken up. It wasn't very clear.
Sorry about that. I said, Constable Sonam, your testimony today was mainly about the alleged crimes against our client, correct?
Yes.
However, according to the law, a bail hearing is not a trial, correct?
Yes.
And a bail hearing is a place to discuss just that, bail, correct?
Yes.
And your testimony is not about Marco's ability or inability to pay bail, correct?
It's about the. Excuse me.
Just wait. Sorry, we're just going to switch witnesses. I think this witness is froze up. If that's okay with you.
That's completely fine.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
Can you start my questioning, or?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Okay. So, I'll just go straight into it. A bail hearing is a place to discuss bail, correct?
That is correct.
And your testimony today is not about Marco's ability or inability to pay that bail, correct?
No, today I'm discussing the fact that Marco could recommit had he not been held for a bail hearing.
Right. But your testimony is not about Marco showing up or not showing up for his trial date, correct? You can attest to that.
Well, as I stated in the police report, I found it reasonable to believe that Marco could fail to attend his bail hearing had he not been held in custody until this time.
Yes, but you have no factual evidence in support of that, correct?
Due to the fact that Marco has had a past conviction, his outstanding charges, and his breaches of both curfew and probation, I found it reasonable to believe that Marco could fail to attend his trial had he not been held.
But for the record, again, you can attest to him not being able to pay bail, correct?
As I stated, that was not the reasoning that I had when I held him in custody.
And you've never met Marco before you arrested him before this trial, correct?
Although I didn't, personally I did not, he has had previous encounters with the police.
Right, but would you, based on that fact, would you stand to reason that a former basketball coach, being the neighbor, would know Marco better than you do, correct?
I am unaware of Marco's neighbors.
But seeing as how they've been knowing him longer, and you never met him before this trial, they would know him better, correct?
I am unaware.
So you would disagree with the fact that a neighbor who's known Marco for 5 years would know him better. You disagree with that fact?
With all respect, I am unaware of Marco's neighbors and his relationships with them. Therefore, I am unable to answer this question.
Sorry, time is up. Did you want to ask one last question?
Certainly. So again, do you believe, Constable, or know that a bail hearing is for the purpose of bail and not the alleged crime?
That is correct.
Okay. Thank you.
No further questions, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner may step down. Thank you. Does the Crown have any further witnesses? Great, thank you. Would the defense like to proceed now with their witnesses?
Yes, Your Honor. Just give us a few seconds to get coordinated with that.
Of course, no problem.
Camera shot. Yeah, you must. Yes.
Your Honor, I will call my first witness, Marco Souza.
Sure. Go ahead and proceed, please.
Your Honor, it's Joseph Osmond.
Sorry, we can't hear you.
Your Honor, I will call just some Osmond.
Yes, please proceed. Let's see if we can hear you. Hello?
Hello?
Okay, let's try this again, see if we can hear you.
So we're just clarifying that instead of calling Marco Souza, we're in fact calling the neighbor, Mr. Osmond, as our first witness.
Yes, that's fine.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Can we be, Your Honor, may we begin?
I don't know, I'm not sure why we're not hearing them. Sorry, we can't seem to hear you clearly, so we're just checking our volume.
We're not muted, are we?
It is not. Okay, let's try this again. Sorry, it is on maximum, but we're just having difficulty in hearing you.
Okay. Can you hear us now?
Okay, go ahead, please.
For the record, please state your name.
My name is Joseph Osmond.
For the record, please state your age.
I am 30 years old.
For the record, please state your relation to the defendant.
My relationship to Marco Souza is I am a neighbor as of now, and about 5 years ago is when I met him. He was a middle school student, was also, he was both a student of mine as well as one of my players for the middle school team.
Can you explain what was Marco Souza's behavior when he was one of your players?
Well, his behavior was, he was a great kid, and within my classroom, he seemed to be a rather brilliant student.
How would Marco Souza's behavior change over these 2 years after his father's death?
Well, after his father died, that's when things began to spiral. I noticed that he quit his high school team, and he would then hang out with another set of friends. I tried to convince him to rejoin the team, and I also tried to get him to help me coach the middle school team, but he didn't show any interest.
For the record, please tell us your reason for being here in the court today.
Well, my reason for being here is to show that, one, he will be able to, of course, show up for the trial. I'm also here to speak about his good character.
Mr. Osmond, can you explain his good character in your terms?
Well, since you've asked me, I've been able to show that, one, without this incident, the incident in question, his father dying, he was a great student. He was a great kid, and it's all because of that things began to spiral. It's one of the reasons why we're here today.
Mr. Osmond, do you believe that Marco Souza can legibly go back to those good behaviors?
With plenty of support from his already strong family, I believe that this can be accomplished. Yes.
Why would Marco's bail in this charge present not challenge the safety of the public at large?
Once again, I know that Marco has been able to show up to his previous trials, and within said trials, everything was really faulty with his evidence. And you can also see that Marco, he's a good kid now. But with the help of the court, I'm sure he can better himself.
No further questions, Your Honor? May I pass the witness?
Yes, please.
Your Worship, is the Crown proceed?
Yes.
So I'm going to be cross-examining Mr. Osmond. So, Mr. Osmond, how long ago were you Mr. Souza's basketball coach?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
So, how long ago were you Marco Souza's basketball coach?
Roughly about 5 years ago.
And would you agree that 5 years is a long amount of time?
It is.
So, would you say, would it be fair to say that people change a lot over time?
It's fair to say that. However, I am a neighbor. I live right across the hall, so I've been able to see him, and he has changed, but that's all because of the death of his father.
Okay, so would you say that your relationship with him is distant?
He's made it distant, yes.
Okay, so with your relationship so distant, am I correct to assume that you have minimal influence on Marco and his future behavior?
And his future behavior. Well, his behavior can only be influenced by those around him. And I can certainly attest that I would certainly have more influence over him than, let's say, the police.
Okay, so would you say that his mother has more influence than you on him?
Yes.
So, you know that his mother's influence is not that strong. So, would you say that your influence is minimal?
Minimal? Well, it has a presence.
But you just said that his mother's influence was not that strong anyway.
I didn't say that, you did.
Okay, so moving on to my next point, you have a family, correct?
I have a family, yes.
With 2 children, I believe?
Yes.
Okay, so are you working extra hard to provide for your wife who's not working and taking care of your children?
I'm working as hard as I can.
Okay, so your job is a teacher, right?
Yes.
So is it fair to say that you at least get 5 to 6 hours of work daily?
At minimum, yes.
Okay, so as a full-time teacher, I'm sure that your job, as you just said, is fairly busy.
Mm-hmm.
So with your previous answers, I'm suggesting that you will not have enough time for Marco and not being consistent influence in Marco's life, right?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
So with your previous answers, I'm suggesting that you will not have enough time for Marco and be a consistent influence in Marco's life, correct?
Well, to answer that, I of course have weekends. We are right there, and even then, I will obviously have more time for Marco than the police will.
Okay, time is up. Would you like to ask one last question?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. Thank you. You may sit down. Would the defense like to call their next witness?
Yes, Your Honor, we'll call. I'll let Uncle Adriano Guevia.
Okay, please proceed.
Yes. All right. For the record, please state your age.
I am 45 years old.
For the record, please state your relationship to the defendant.
I am Marco Souza's uncle.
For the record, please tell us your reason for being here in this court today.
My reason for being in this court today is to testify that Marco Souza is a fine young man and can better himself with my help and family's help.
Mr. Guevia, what do you think about Marco's family?
I think he has a nice family. It's just that without his father, he has no one to look up to and set a role model.
What do you think about his behavior over the past year?
Over the past 2 years, ever since his dad died, he had been spiraling down, hanging out with bad people.
How is Marco behaving? Please explain why Marco Souza should receive bail.
Marco Souza should receive bail because he's simply just an 18-year-old boy who got caught up in the wrong crowd. And this all happened because of his father's death, which would impact heavily on anybody.
How would you say will influence Marco Souza?
As a strong role model, I will influence him by showing him how and how to become a man and be responsible and no longer be with the wrong crowd.
So, are you saying that you can provide Marco Sosa with positive effects?
Yes.
And so you're saying that you will also provide with role modeling, correct?
Correct.
So, stating that there's plenty of crime, would you provide money for the bail?
Yes, I would provide money for bail as well as help pay rent.
How has Marco's behavior changed since his father's death?
Since his father's death, he's been acting really strange, hanging out with the wrong crowd. But as his uncle that knows him well, I'm pretty sure that I can change this.
Do you have any legible criminal record?
I have no criminal record at all.
Why would Marco's bail on this charge present no challenge to the safety of the public at large?
He's not a danger to the public simply by having himself around these type of people that commit these crimes. It is the actual people that he's hanging around that are a danger to the public, not himself.
Can you explain that more?
He's a very good person and is simply confused on how to act because he has no one to look up to for support and guidance.
So, going back to all the facts, with y'all's support, mother, Isabel, and y'all are going to better Marco Sosa, correct?
Correct.
No further questions, Your Honor. I will pass the witness.
It's Crown ready to call statement?
Your Worship, the Crown may proceed.
Yes, ma'am.
I understand that Marco's previous bail hearing you were not present, correct?
Correct.
So therefore you weren't there to support Marco for his family.
No.
And now you decide to suddenly support Marco with a second bail hearing?
Can you repeat the question?
And now you decide to suddenly support Marco with a second bail hearing?
Yes.
It's my understanding that you work full-time as a research technician.
Yes.
With a full-time job, aren't you busy working the majority of the day?
I'm never too busy enough for my family.
As such, if something were to happen, you would be able to intervene in time then.
Of course, anybody that has strong ties to their family would do anything for their family. I would also provide more help to the police and the prison at which they want to put him in.
Will the company you work at allow you to spontaneously take time off to take care of your nephew?
Yes, because I've been working there for 15 years, so I have a credible background of being there and working hard.
It's a government job. They won't let you do things like that.
Well, as a person that's been working in that job for 15 years, I'm pretty sure what they can and will not let you do.
Very well then. So after Marco's father's death, he has been pushing you away, correct?
He shut me out a little bit, yes.
So then how can you make any impact in his life when he clearly doesn't want you in it?
Because I have more impact than his mother and the police, and he needs a role model, a strong father figure.
Are you trying to replace his dead father?
I'm not trying to replace a dead father. I'm trying to set a role model, and that is an insult to my brother-in-law.
I'm sorry, we're out of time. Would you like to ask one more question?
No, no further questions, Your Honor.
The witness may step down. Would defendant like to call our next witness?
Yes, Your Honor. We will call Isabel, the mother. For the record, state your name.
My name is Isabel Souza.
For the record, please state your age.
I'm 40 years old.
Please state your relationship to the defendant.
I am Marco Souza's mother.
Please tell us your reason for being here in the court today.
I'm here today so that my son will get bail.
Okay. Please explain why Marco Souza should receive bail.
He should receive bail because not only did he show up to his last trial, but he's just an 18-year-old boy who doesn't deserve to stay in a county jail until his trial.
Ms. Souza, what were the terms of you quitting your job?
I quit my job because I felt that I needed to be there for Marcos and his sons, Marcos and his brothers after his dad had died a couple years ago.
How was Marco Souza's behavior changed if he is allowed bail?
Marco Souza's attitude will change because he'll start helping his brother. He'll realize that he got a second chance, or he can get a second chance. And then my brother would also come and help him.
How has Marco's behavior changed in the past 2 years?
In the past 2 years, Marco's behavior has dramatically changed because of his father's death.
So you're saying that his father's death was the cause of his behavior, correct?
Yes.
Why would Marco's bail on this charge present no challenge to the safety of the public at large?
Because he's just a harmless 18-year-old boy. He simply got mixed in with the wrong crowd.
The wrong crowd? Can you explain that?
By the wrong crowd, I mean wrong group of people, boys who have gotten into trouble before, and he simply just fell under peer pressure.
So, Ms. Osmond, are you saying that you're going to change his ways?
Yes, that's what we're trying to do, me and my brother.
And you and your brother are going to provide financially and emotionally positive change, correct?
Yes.
No further questions? I will pass my witness.
Ms. Souza, I understand that you used to work as a paralegal.
Yes.
And so you are aware of how our legal system works.
Yes.
And you understand the consequences of breaking the law.
Yes.
And you understand why it's important that the law be followed.
Of course.
All right. So from my understanding, you acted as Marco's surety at his last bail hearing.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
From my understanding, you acted as Marco's surety at his last bail hearing.
Yes.
And are you aware of Marco's bail conditions?
Yes.
Okay. Were you aware that his curfew was at 9 o'clock?
Yes, that's my son.
Yeah. All right. So on September 23rd, was Marco home at 9 o'clock?
No.
Were you aware of this?
Yes.
Did you call the police?
Yes, once I realized he was gone.
And yet our constable testified that that the police received no call about the whereabouts of Marco Souza.
Well, your constable also testified that my son was the one who took the car in front of the house when nobody really knows who took the car.
Objection, not relevant. Hearsay.
Okay. So
we'll just ask that be straight from the record. If you can continue, please.
Okay. So is this the first time that Marco has broken the law?
Sorry, some announcements are going on.
Just repeat your question.
Okay. So is this the first time that Marco has broken the law?
No.
Okay. And I'm sure you tried to stop him from breaking the law?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Okay. So, I'm sure that you are trying to instill good morals into your son.
Of course, I want my son to grow up and be the best he can be.
This will have to be your last question. Time is up.
Okay, so despite you trying to keep Marco from breaking the law, he has not listened to you in the past. He does not respect your authority. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. No further questions. Please take a seat. If the defense would like to call their next witness.
We'd like to redirect, Your Honor, if you'd allow it.
Pardon me?
We'd like to redirect the witness, Your Honor, if you'd allow it.
If it's okay, for the interest of time, we wouldn't be allowed, the court cannot permit this redirect. Unfortunately, we only have 10 more minutes for this class.
Okay, fine. No
Thank you, Your Honor. Moving to our next witness.
Okay, please proceed. I think your mic is off.
Sorry about that.
For the record, please state your name.
My name is Marco Souza.
For the record, please state your age.
I am 18 years old.
Marco Souza, were you in trial for the past other ones?
Yes, I attended the previous trial proceedings. Yes,
So you were present, correct?
I was.
Can you tell us your reason for hearing in this court today?
I'm here today for alleged crimes or alleged charges. Then, of course, were over trumped.
Can you please explain why you should receive bail?
I should receive bail because, one, this bail is determining whether or not I will actually attend the court proceeding, and of course, there is faulty evidence against me, if any.
Marco Souza, what are those faulty evidence?
Okay, I'm sorry.
So you will be in court, correct?
I will be.
No further questions. I'll pass my witness.
Yes. Okay, so I'll be cross-examining Marco Souza. Do you believe that your mother put up $500 for your previous bail?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Do you understand that your mother put up $500 for your previous bail?
I do, yes.
Your mother had to pay more money for this bail. Yes?
Yes.
You understand that this money was to ensure that you didn't get in trouble, but you still got in trouble.
Well, to answer that, the money were to ensure that I would make it to this trial, to ensure that I would be present.
So due to your previous behavior, is it fair to say that you have no respect for your mother's money?
That's not what I'm saying at all. Because if you listen to my previous answer, you would hear that I said that the monies were for my attendance, the trial, and I have respected. I respectfully attended.
Okay, so in your first dangerous driving condition, Jason King has been with you.
My dangerous driving condition?
Your
driving.
Your previous charges, has Jason King been with you?
Has Jason what?
Has Jason King been with you?
Come up to the, so it's easier for them to hear you.
It has nothing to do with the bail hearing.
Okay, was he there in your second set of charges?
I'm sorry, but
Objection, Your Honor, relevance.
But he was there in your most recent charges.
Objection, Your Honor. Relevance. What relevance here are these questions?
What are you trying to establish?
I'm trying to establish that Jason King has been a negative influence on Marco Souza.
Your Honor, that has no impact on his bail hearing today of whether or not he should receive bail to attend his next trial date.
Do you have anything to say?
I'd just like to move on. You claim that you won't that you won't get in trouble again, but you've claimed that same statement after your previous charges.
We'll let you get to that.
So, fine.
Yes.
So as my final question, let me ask you this. If someone did something to you multiple times and continuously told you that they weren't going to do it again, would you believe them?
Would I believe them? Well, I wouldn't believe your question. Anywho, well, in matters such as this, I, of course, have a strong family. They have reasons to believe me. It's in their best interest to establish our bonds and to build upon them.
I have no further questions.
Thank you. No further questions. The witness may sit down. Does the defense have any further witnesses to call?
No, Your Honor. We'd like to begin with end with our closing statement.
Yes. Due to it being reverse onus, the defense will proceed with their closing statements.
May I begin now, Your Honor?
Please.
So, Your Honor, I, Jacob Shaw, and my partner, Alondra Montezuma, we're here not only to represent Marco Souza today in this bail hearing, but to represent the entire nation of Canada. Bail hearing, Your Honor. A place in our nation where we do not establish the guilt or innocence of a person, but whether or not the accused person will appear in court for their next trial date. If you listen to the Crown, Your Honor, they were trying to conduct their trial right here and now. This is not a trial. This is a place to determine if court awards bail to Mr. Marco Souza. For this fact alone, we ask you not to be persuaded by the eloquent verbiage of our illustrious Crown's prosecutor. All we need to carefully do is look at the two things here. First, will Marco Souza show up for his trial? And the answer is yes. He most certainly will. Second, does Marco Souza have undocumented evidence of his showing up for trials? And the answer is yes, he does. He's not a flight risk. He has no means of leaving the country, and a support group of family and friends who not only vouch for his bond, but are willing to help Marco Souza through the behavior so he can change once again and be a productive citizen of Canada, which 2 police officers in court have already agreed upon previously. This should be enough right here to stop this closing and for you to set bail at $500 for him, Your Honor. However, there are another 2 important factors to consider here. First, in Canada, there is a presumption of innocence until proven guilty, and if Marco Souza goes to jail now, the presumption of innocence is in dire jeopardy. Second, the plain fact that the Canadian police have had notoriously famous for overcharging or booking or charging against the accused. Our client Marco Souza is charged with theft of a motor vehicle, and no one saw him do it, nor was he driving the van when a constable pulled him over. He was also charged with theft when no one knows for sure who had stolen the sign. In fact, the constable today testified that he saw the sign in the back of the van in question. However, it was 1 a.m. In the middle of the night, not to mention there was a panel, a windowless van in the back. It would be impossible for the constable to see the sign in the back. Now the police are somehow trying to say that they can fortune tell what the future will be, and is going to go back to a negative connotation on Marco. We call 4 witnesses today, Your Honor. We called the neighbor and the foreign basketball coach, Osmond. They testified about the characters of Marco Souza and the fact that his present behavior began at the time of Marco's father's death. They also testified to the character of Marco's family and their commitment to Marco and his ability to be what he said and that he will do so. Our second witness was Adriano, the uncle. He testified how it would help provide a strong male figure in the family and how this new plan will work. Our third witness was Isabel, the mother of Marco Souza. She testified to Marco's ability to make it to court dates and sincerity in complying with this legal requirement. Finally, we called Marco Souza himself. He testified that he will show up for his court date, and he plans to show that charges against him are completely overblown and overcharged in this case. Your Honor, we're left with a rather easy decision here today. Should we grant bail or not to Mr. Marco Souza? Will he appear for his court date? Is he willing to clear his name in court? Is he anxious to set the record straight in this matter? Yes, 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 and yes, Your Honor. There's only one thing to do to set the thing right in this case today. Set bail for Marco Souza as the legal process began. It's only then that we will know the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Thank you, Your Honor. And with these words, we conclude the only possible court decision today you can reach to tell Marco Souza a $500 bail and allow him the ability to defend himself against these current charges in a trial court. That concludes our closing today, Your Honor.
Thank you. Is the Crown ready to proceed with their closing?
Crown is ready, Your Honor. My name is Jamie Bursi. I'll be representing the Crown in the closing statement. Marco Souza's actions have consequences. You have stated that he is not a flight risk, but he certainly has a chance of recommitting. He has had plenty of bail conditions, and he has violated the law. His crimes have only gotten worse, and they will continue to get worse if we do not act. We have heard the same story over and over from the defense, and I ask you, Your Honor, what has changed? These problems have been identified before, and you have failed to continue to reach them. We can't keep letting him get away with these crimes. Marco has committed offense after offense, including failure to comply with his bail terms. We are not here to decide Marco's innocence or guilt, yet the defense still argues his innocence. He is guilty. This time, something must change, and we must end the cycle. He must learn his actions have consequences. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Although both the defense and the Crown have presented very strong arguments for detainment or release of the accused, Mr. Marco Souza, at this time, the court will release Mr. Marco Souza to the sureties presented by the defense today. We trust that he has met all three grounds as aligned with the Criminal Code of Canada. Thank you. Congratulations, full team. So just so you all know, we were a little surprised here in Canada. We actually don't bring the accused, so Marco Souza, to the stand. So we didn't have questions prepared. So we apologize for the lack of questioning, I guess, that we had. It was a very short time. Thank you so much. You did a fantastic job again.
Thank you so much again. It was just a load of fun to do this for a second time and flipping sides.
Great. Well, hopefully we'll be able to present the trial. We should receive our trial material in December, so we'll be in contact then.
Okay, sounds great.
Great. Good luck with your bail competition.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you, Michael. We'll be in contact.
With all your future competition.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. Bye for now. Bye-bye.